Hey y'all, welcome back. So I kind of wanted to postpone this video a little bit because today's video is actually an eyeliner tutorial, which I'm really excited about. But I have the worst allergies, and honestly I don't think they're going to get a whole lot better anytime soon. So if my eyes start to water, if it starts to get red right here, it's just allergies. It's okay. Now the reason I'm so excited about this today is because, one, a subscriber actually requested this in the comments of a previous video, so thank you so much for your request. And two, this is something that I've honestly wanted to do, not necessarily eyeliner, but talk about eyes in general for a long time. So when it comes to eyeliner, especially if you're trying to use a liquid liner, the first thing you have to just remember is just have a little bit of patience. I only started playing around with liquid liner right before we got married. So we got married in January 2017, and I was determined that I was going to do a bomb-ass wing for my wedding because I did my own makeup. And I had no idea where to start. I sucked at it. So every night before I went to take a shower or take my makeup off, I would bust out some liquid liner. This is the one that I learned with, which was the Wet n Wild Skinny Tip eyeliner. And just try to do a wing on each eye. And if it sucked, it sucked. I was going to take a shower anyway and wash it off. But that was how I really learned how to do it, and nobody had to see all my fail because it was only going to be me in the shower in a couple of minutes. So I guess that was really more practice instead of patience, but you do need to have patience too, because if you try to rush, especially if you're using any kind of liquid liner, if you try to rush liquid liner, you're really just going to end up with a mess, and it's going to look like something that you didn't want. Because I can tell you from personal experience, this happens to me every single time. Okay, so now let's get on to like the actual fun part of this video, which is playing with the liners. So first things first, before you do liquid liner, a lot of times I like to tightline. Now, I have super sensitive eyes. I am allergic to everything under the sun. So finding the right liner is kind of personal preference and what your own personal needs are. So for me, I used to really like the Wet n Wild like $1 eyeliners, but recently they've started to make me break out and itch really bad, so I gave those up. But some really great options for tightlining are Urban Decay's 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencils. These don't budge. It doesn't matter what color or what texture or formula you get with these. These are great, especially if you have oily skin. These aren't going anywhere and they don't irritate my super sensitive eyes. Another really good one is the Smashbox Always On Gel Liner. Again, all of the colors of these are great and they don't irritate my eyes. Now, drugstore ones, I kind of have a little bit of a problem because there's a lot of them. I don't know what ingredient it is, but it just irritates my eyes so much, so they'll just be watering all day long and it's the worst. But a really good one that doesn't bother me are the NYX liners. So this one here, these are the NYX Professional Makeup. This is the faux black one, and this is a faux white one. These ones stay on forever. I think I might like these better than like their more expensive counterparts. And they're so smooth, they're not chunky, and they don't irritate sensitive eyes. Okay, so I have zoomed you in a little bit more, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Now, before you do anything with a pencil liner, I'm going to use the NYX one here today. Make sure you have sharpened it. Never go in with like a half sharpened liner because somehow you're going to run it down to the very edge here and it's going to poke the crap out of your eye, because I've done that many times in a hurry. Take the extra 5 seconds and sharpen your pencil. I've got a handy little compact mirror here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the lower lash line first, and I have a freshly sharpened pencil, and if I can get a little closer without it defocusing, okay, all I'm going to do is run this in my waterline. For the purposes of this video only, I'm not taking it in to the inner corners right here. Normally on a good allergy day I can do that and it'll look bomb, but right now, because my eyes are so itchy and watery, if I take it on this inner corner it's just going to run down my face, so we're not going to do that today. But next we're going to do the top waterline, and this is where you just want to be very careful, take your time, don't poke your eyeball out. Now here, I just slowly make my way along the upper waterline, and then we're going to go back in just a second to make sure that we got in between all of those lashes too. When you're doing this, make sure you're getting in between all of those lashes, especially if you're like me and like I have very long lashes, but they're really sparse. So if you don't fill in the gaps between them, you'll notice if you take close-up pictures of your makeup, or you just, you're zooming in on a picture, that it kind of looks very inconsistent and your eyeliner looks very broken because you can see those little gaps in between your lashes. At this point, now that you have your upper and lower waterlines completely filled in, you could stop here, put on some mascara, and call it a day. But I do want to also go into liquid liner, because liquid liner is a little different in that it depends a lot on your eye shape. It's really easy when you watch other people's videos to want to mimic what they're doing with their liner, but only recently, I can't believe it took me this long to figure it out, but what you can do with your liquid liner in terms of wings, so you want a thin wing, a small wing, a fat wing, like a really dramatic wing. It all depends on your eye shape. So I don't know if you have noticed, but I have very deep set, like wide eyes. So when I look into the camera here, I look into the viewfinder, do you see how small of a distance I have between where my lid actually creases and the corner of my eye? Yeah. That makes liquid liner and doing very dramatic wings almost impossible for me. So for a while I was really upset about it because I can't do some of the really cool things, or I thought, let me put it that way, I thought I couldn't do some of the really cool things that other people were doing. But you just kind of have to learn to play around with what works for your particular eye shape. Don't try to imitate other people, just try and figure out what works for you. And this is where like the practice and the patience really comes in, unfortunately. But luckily, what I found out that works for me is to do a smaller, thinner wing. And it also just looks better in general because big, fat, thick wings just don't mesh with my eye shape at all. And wings are kind of supposed to open up your eyes a little bit, and make them feel and look larger because you're kind of elongating them. But for me, it just makes them look smaller and just, no. In short, different things are going to work for different people. But I have deep set, wide, slightly hooded eyes, so I kind of feel like I have the worst in terms of like eye shape. It just doesn't, ugh. But anyway, this is what works for me. So there are some good liquid liners from the drugstore. Like I mentioned earlier, this is the Wet n Wild Mega Slim Skinny Tip Eyeliner. This is only $1.99 and this is really, really good and it lasts all day. NYX also has some good ones, but my absolute favorite is one of the few things that I say that I would definitely purchase a more expensive one is the Kat Von D Tattoo Liner in Trooper Black. This does not budge, and the tip of it is perfect. It doesn't bend and wiggle. It just works for my eye shape. So again, it might take a little bit of practice and trial and error, but figure out which one works best for you and stick with it. Okay, so I'm trying to scoot a little closer so you can see this a little bit better. But what has really worked for me first is it's not go big or go home with the wings. It's really not. I take my liquid liner and just trace my upper lash line keeping the width of the line the same the whole time. There's just one quick, nice, easy, crisp line on the top of the lower lash line. Once that initial line is down on my lid, let me put it this way. A lot of people like to tell you that the wing should kind of be an extension of your lower lash line if it were to keep going in the same direction that it's going. But, one second. We're going to pretend this is just like a stick. If I was to do that with my lash line, the way it's going now, this line goes straight through this crease right here. That's a no-no. And that is why for so long all of my wings just turned out so crappy, because I was listening to other people instead of really listening to my own body and figuring out what worked for me. So instead, what I do is I'm going to draw a line right here, but just shy of where my crease ends up here, so we're not going to end up with some real funky looking, strange, like wrinkly wing. That's not okay. Once you have that line, all you have to do is connect the end of that line to the end of the line that you drew across your lash line. So just one more straight line. That's it. Bam. Now just fill in the gap here. Once you have those couple of steps done, then you can customize your wing all you want, because you have the right base, you've got the right shape. Now it's just a matter of making it thicker, dragging it out a little bit, whatever you want. But having that nice base down helps so much, instead of just trying to like freehand it, because that, unless you have the steadiest hands in the world and you are a super pro at this, it's not worth the the struggle. It's really not. Okay guys, and that is it. All I did was put on a quick coat of mascara to just pull everything together, and you're done. Now remember, what I've showed you may not work for everybody, so I do really encourage you to, play around with products. See what you like, see what you don't like, see what works with your eye shape, if you have allergies, things like that. It might take a little trial and error, and that is totally okay. But it's definitely worth it in the end when you find something that truly works for you. Oh, just like the angels, they start singing. I do hope though that you did find some of this helpful. If you did, don't forget to give the video a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button either down below or up here in the corner before you leave. And if you guys do have any other requests for videos that you want to see, just let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It doesn't matter how big, how small. I read every one of them. With work sometimes I can't get to them right away, but I do read them. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.